conference will now be recorded.
CP3. We'll have an update on a project approved at last town meeting. We have a member, Peter Serafino from the Bursa Group for Carriage Grove Apartments, would like to just come and speak with us about possibly putting in an application. Peter Serafino.
Peter Serafino.
Discuss our annual calendar, make sure we're up to date on conflict of interest, bills, and approved minutes. So I'm going to just kind of move things around our agenda here because, you know, we have a guest here. So Peter, he has gone back and forth with myself a little bit via emails, just wanting to come before the committee because they're looking to possibly put an application in and just wanted to chat and get the input from the CPC committee in terms of recommendations and what we may be looking for. And other than that, Peter, I will give you the floor and you can kind of tell us what you're looking for and what you want to do.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Peter Serafino, and I represent the developer of the proposed Carriage Grove Apartments site. And that developer is Sydney Capital Group, LLC. Principal of Sydney Capital is Ahmad Graham. Mr. Graham's not feeling well tonight. He was going to be joining us remotely, but he told me a little while ago he wasn't able to attend, so it's just me. I'm working as a consultant for Sydney Capital Group, which is based in Brooklyn. I live in Ludlow. I have 20 plus years experience developing affordable housing in Western Mass and Connecticut. And so I've been brought on to help Mr. Graham with some of the early stages of getting this project up and running. So originally, Brisa Ventures was designated by the BDIC as the developer for the Carriage Grove site. And in fact, I think I've got about a half dozen copies. The first one is a copy of the site plan, if you want to take one and pass it along. And the is the site, and then the way the proposed buildings lay out on the site. So Sydney Capital Group was always the lead with Brisa Ventures, and now Sydney Capital is just the lead, and they've been reviewing that with the BDIC, and they're moving forward with that as just Sydney Capital. And I wanted to come here tonight and talk a little bit about the project, what we're planning, and we would like to come in with an application for some financial assistance for the project, and we're going to tell you a little bit about that and get your feedback and make sure, in fact, I don't know what you all know about the plans for the project. The developer was designated for this site by the BDIC in 2024, and I think the site plan approval by the planning board was done later that same year, if my memory recalls. And what the plan is for 105 apartments, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom rental apartments on the site that you see there. That's going to be in 6 buildings, and those apartments are all going to be highly energy efficient, all electric, no fossil fuel. We're going to be going for a couple of high energy efficiency designations, such as Passive House, which is probably the highest level of energy efficiency designation that you can get. We'll also be looking for Energy Star. Another one is Zero Energy Ready Homes. And then there's yet another one that the state requires of us called Enterprise Green Communities. Now, all of these are designations that indicate that we've used extremely high efficiency heating and cooling equipment, really good windows, really great building insulation, so that the idea is that they're supposed to run very efficiently for many years, primarily using renewable energy and electric heating and cooling. The other part of the project includes the restoration of the former state school administration building. And that project is going to include some museum and exhibit space, some community meeting space, and then some other food-related space, whether it's a test kitchen or commissary type kitchen is still in the planning phases, but the project does entail a restoration of that building. So with 105 apartments, pretty substantial undertaking, and all these apartments are what the state would consider affordable to households earning up to 80% of area median income. So there'll be a number of tiers. Some will be affordable to folks up to 30% of area median income, 60%, and 80% of area median income. And median income is probably about $100,000 for a family of four right now in our area. So, we're still kind of, even though Resus and City Capital have been at this for a while, we're still kind of at the front end of the process. We've got 50% complete design drawings. We're also pursuing state and federal historic tax credits for the administration building, which are really valuable resources to help fund that. That's a long process in and of itself. And then we started the initial stages of seeking all the affordable housing resources that are available through the state's Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And those include low-income housing tax credits and a variety of soft debt. And then there's also funding available through mass development, the underutilized property program. We've requested some pre-construction funds that we expect to hear on in the next month or so. And then we'll be looking to mass development for another good chunk of money for part of the cost of the redevelopment. The project cost is, for 105 units and the admin building, is around $60 million right now. It's expensive to build rental housing, particularly highly energy efficient housing that we're required to build. And we would like to ask the CPC to provide $500,000 towards that cost. The state really views local contributions very positively in these projects. We'll be going to them for millions and millions of dollars, and they like to know that the local community is invested in the project and willing to participate as well. And it's also a good sign. Usually, I just finished construction on a 34-unit apartment complex in the small town of Pelham, which also kicked in $500,000 for that project. And it was the first money into the deal. It was the first committed funds. Now, in this case, there's mass development funds already in the deal, but still, it's always good to have early money in. It's a good sign when we approach the state and say, yeah, we've got the town that's interested in helping us out here. And the other part about the phasing of our project, the time frame for our project is that we don't really need the money until we're done construction. So at closing on construction, there'll be a recorded deed restriction, so that it's restricted to affordable housing, it's restricted to a particular use, and then the town of Belchertown would be party to that affordable housing deed restriction. So it would meet all the CPA requirements for community housing under your guidelines. It also meets requirements of historic preservation. And then, the proof is in the pudding. When the project's done and construction is complete and tenants are moving in, we've got a certificate of occupancy, that's when we come back to you and say, okay, now we're looking for your contribution. So it gives you a couple of years, and I know how, CPA kitty needs to be, recouped every now and refilled every now and then, and so we're not asking for money upfront, but only upon completion. So I'll pause there and leave it open to you all if you have any questions. I mean, maybe there's some things I didn't cover that you want to know about, but that's the outline of what we're trying to do at this site.
I guess my first question would be, would the residents of Belchertown be, have preferential treatment in terms of, occupying the units? I
Sure,
guess.
that's a great question. So the Commonwealth does allow for up to 70% local preference.
Okay.
So there's all sorts of preferences. So that one could designate in some types of supported housing, you give preference for people with disability, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can provide. I think during the town actually has to request it, and whether it comes from the select board or the CPC or the planning board, I don't think it really matters. But it's not really the developer's role to say to the state, we're asking for a local preference. It's really because it's a local preference for the town. From our point of view, it neither helps nor hurts the project, so we're usually pretty neutral on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done projects where there's a veterans preference, and like I say, a preference for people with certain disabilities. So like I say, I don't see it as either a positive or a negative. I think if that's something the town wants to pursue, then we certainly are, willing to go along with that.
Okay. I guess I'll open up the questions for other members and then we'll go around. David, you have anything right now?
Not yet.
Okay. Pat?
Are any of these units going to be accessible?
That's a great question. So, the answer is yes. By code, by law, 5% have to be fully accessible for persons with physical handicaps, meaning wheelchair accessible, and there's, certain size bathrooms, certain size doorways, so 5%, I think that's 6 apartments. I think then 2.5% or 3 have to have features for people who have a sensory disability, so hearing or visual. So that's like a gong or flashing lights, those types of things. And then not 100% of the apartments are visitable. So there are some apartments that are only going to be accessible by, that are second floor apartments, only accessible by stairs. And honestly, I don't know offhand what that number is, but I think it's maybe 25 to 30% of the units in the property are not visitable by a person with physical handicaps. But, given that it's a very public process, a lot of public funding sources, we've got a lot of eyes looking at us, and to make sure that there's sort of equity to folks who are physically handicapped is very important in the design review that we go through with the Commonwealth. So,
And then, is there going to be a second and third phase to this whole project?
So right now, this project and the application we would send to you is for 105 units in 6 buildings and the admin building. There are discussions of other phases. My understanding is that Sydney Capital Group is designated as developer for this first phase, and given the time horizons it takes, in the demand for the tax credits, the soft debt, and the resources from the Commonwealth that are necessary to make this work are so competitive that, for better or for worse, we have to take them one at a time. So I actually don't know that there's other plans for by this developer for the other sites right around it at the moment.
Okay.
Alex?
Okay, hi. First of all, forgive me, my memory is, I don't have all my notes here. The Belchertown Historical Commission was approached by I think Brizza, for a letter of recommendation that was required to be sent in with an application to,
National Park Service, probably.
I thought Mass Preservation or something like that. And I'm not sure whether it was for funding or for tax credit.
So probably for 2 things. Well, we have the Part 2 approval from National Park Service, which means that they've designated the building as of historic significance. So therefore, it's eligible for both state and federal historic tax credits. And so the importance of those things, and I think the most recent, letter of support from the Historical Commission was for a tax credit application that either has been submitted or is about to be submitted to National
We
Park
sent it to
Service.
you, so.
Right, yeah, and Emily was the consultant, the historic consultant.
If that came up, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's an important piece because those tax credits are each worth 20% of the value of the renovation of that building. So, and they stack on top of each other, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
that being said, $500,000 is a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
Now, can we stretch that out over a period of time?
Absolutely.
Or does it have to be one lump sum?
So, let's say we come in with an application and it's approved in spring by the select board, it goes to?
Through town meeting.
Town meeting. Okay. So that's your FY 26?
FY 27.
27, okay. We're probably not completing construction until FY 28 or 29.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that you've got 2 to 3 years of income, tax assessment to the CPA funds.
So we can say, we can come up with, say, 100 or 150 each year
Absolutely.
incrementally. All right,
Absolutely.
next question. The renovation of the historic building. You mentioned part of it will be community meeting space.
Yes.
Would you elaborate on that?
So part of it is a need to have space for meetings with residents, right? So the people who are gonna be living in this apartment complex, it'll actually be in the same ownership as the residential, housing. So there will be some meeting space there so that, perhaps an office where, our property management staff can meet with residents, perhaps, a meeting room where they can have all sorts of
How much
training.
area are we talking here?
That's maybe less than 1,000 square feet, right? And
The
then,
reason I ask is because, this town is in need of a family center. Just wanted to throw that out. We had a family center. They demolished the building. We don't have a family center. They meet at the church. So there's a possibility there. If you're gonna redo the whole thing, I don't know. It's just a thought.
well, right now, the developer has committed to having some food-related uses. That's what the deal was with Beat. And that's proving more difficult to pull off than, any of us would like. So now, like, as I said, there's some concepts of like a commissary type prep kitchen, of sort of pop-up restaurant type uses. But, one of the things you're always looking for here is somebody who can pay the rent and on a space like that. And, we've talked about other opportunities such as, maybe doing some type of housing in that building instead. The building's not really well suited to that use. And Mr. Graham, I think, wants to stay fairly true to the concepts that he's put forward already. I know there's some cultural or museum and exhibit space, which sort of predates my involvement in the project, and I just don't know the details on that, but I'll certainly carry that back to him. And so,
It's just a thought.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those buildings that is gonna need a lot of thought put into it as to what the ultimate uses are, because, once you build them, and they cost a lot of money to renovate, particularly of a historic building like that. It's gotta be fully accessible, and that building right now, we just had an accessibility consultant go through there, and, that's probably gonna
It's
have,
a mess.
to put an elevator in that building. So, a lot of issues with the building, so the more we can come up with a firm end user, it's also good.
Thank you.
Okay. Donald?
Good.
Megan?
I actually have a lot, as I'm taking notes. So.
I mean, this is just a preliminary.
Right, but I
for-
still wanna
right.
wrap my brain around it,
Okay.
so bear with me.
Thank you, thank you for asking the questions, that's why I wanted to.
Okay.
So, 80% income, 60% and 30%. How many are designated for each? How many apartments are designated for each?
I would say that 25% are probably at the low end of the scale, and the other are probably split, the other 2/3 are probably split 50-50 between 60% and 80%. So to be eligible for the low-income housing tax credit, which is the primary funding mechanism for this and almost any other affordable housing, the households have to be below 60% of the area median income. There's a thing called income averaging, so that's how we can get some at 80%. But it's fewer as you get above the 60% period.
You also said that 5% will be fully accessible, ADA accessible.
That's correct.
And then 2.5% will be for sensory. Will they be incorporated in that 5% or?
The state doesn't like us to do that.
Okay.
So the sensory ones are usually separate from the physical handicap ones. But what happens in reality is during the lease-up phase and throughout, if somebody comes to us and says, I want to rent an apartment, I need features for whether it's handicap accessible features, or they ask for a reasonable accommodation, and it's always granted. So it's actually not that expensive to retrofit for sensory, so more expensive to retrofit for physical handicaps. But we always try to accommodate folks who come in with those requests.
And just, so we're looking at $500,000 ask. You say Pelham had already committed for a project there. That's great. How much is the select board putting in?
I don't know.
Was there an ask?
I don't believe so. I'm unaware.
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying is that if it's the town that's putting in the money and they take that, weigh that with great consideration, I would think that we would ask not just this committee, but the entire town.
I mean, my experience in other communities, unless you're talking to Springfield, Holyoke, at least around here, is that most other communities don't have, other than CPA, most other communities don't have much available that they could.
Right, but you know what, I mean, $5 is $5,
$5 is always welcome.
right?
Sure.
And if you don't ask, you don't get it.
Well, that's,
Right,
it's a true statement.
all right, and you mentioned historic preservation. How does that specifically, how does that fit?
So
Because I just want you to, you named it reformation of the administration building.
the rehabilitation of the administration building.
So
Yes.
now you change, okay.
Yeah, it's the rehabilitation of the former administration building to historic standards. So, which is why we've gone to National Park Service and Mass Historic Commission. Mass Historic Commission serves as the State Historic Preservation Office. So, in order to be eligible for the historic tax credits, and both state and federal, we have to meet the Secretary's standards for historic rehabilitation, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Interior,
Right.
which is where the National Park Service resides. And they look very carefully at what you're doing. So we can't go to Home Depot and buy windows and slap them in there.
No, you cannot.
We've got to measure the windows, and we've got to research the old photos and find out what kind of windows were in there. And we can replicate or reuse what's there if it's reasonable. And same thing with doors, particularly anything that faces a public way. They are very, very concerned about. They're going to be concerned about matching brick color, matching mortar color, how we do any needed roof repairs. So it's a pretty stringent process. And if we are successful in getting the historic tax credits for that building, it means that we're restoring it to the law of the land, so to speak, in the United States, which is the Secretary of Standards for Historic Rehabilitation.
Might I interrupt just briefly?
Yeah.
That building is on the National Register of Historic Places.
That's great. So, how much experience does the Sydney Capital Company have in restoration?
So I believe that in the project they're developing in Chicopee right now, there's
In Chicopee?
a historic building and then some new construction.
Where in Chicopee?
In Chicopee Falls, I believe there's a historic building as part of that project. The project's called Singing Bridge.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And as to other projects that is done with historic restoration, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. And last but
I
not
can put
least,
that in our application.
you mentioned tax credits quite a bit. Our experience with tax credits is that the people get them and then they sell them.
Well, they are made to be sold. That's why. So the way there's. So we talked about two different types of tax credits here: the historic tax credits and the low-income housing tax credits. The low-income housing tax credits are the primary. It's the primary tool for affordable housing development throughout the country, and it's a credit on federal income taxes. So it's a federal credit. You're getting relief from federal taxes. The federal government assigns the awarding of those tax credits to the states, and in our state, it's the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities that awards those tax credits. So what happens is we go in and we're going to ask for, actually, there's two types of federal credits. This one, we'll get to some weeds here, the 4% credit and the 9% credit, and they're actually both going to be used in this project. So what will happen is we will then select a tax credit syndicator, of which there are many, There's a great one that I've used mostly based in Boston called Massachusetts Housing Investment Corporation, or MHIC. And they're a mission-driven tax credit syndicator. And MHIC, for instance, and they all work a little bit differently, but MHIC has a pool of investors, which are mostly Massachusetts banks, that pool these credits, and they each then get a little bit of federal tax relief by virtue of the credit that goes in. So the credits are awarded to the developer. The developer hires a syndicator to go out and sell those credits. And let's say we get $1 million worth of credits, and the investor pays 90 cents on the credit, and the way it worked, which would equate to $9 million of equity that goes into the deal, because it's 90 cents on the dollar calculated over 10 years. So it's a pretty powerful credit, and it's a pretty complicated process, and it comes with a lot of restrictions as to who you can rent to. Then that's where the income of the residents comes into play. And the other thing I like to tell people about low amounts of tax credits is that it's a federal law written into the Internal Revenue Code. Even though it's used for housing, it's in the Internal Revenue Code. So think about what you know about the IRS and what you know about housing laws and regulations, and you put the two of them together, and you've got a fine mess that is very hard to make work, but a whole industry has sprung up of attorneys and accountants and developers who've learned how to make it work, and it's been around since 1986 and has been very successful in doing lots of real estate development.
Michael?
Just 3 different areas or questions or whatever. At the beginning, you talked about the energy efficiency of the construction of the units and whatever. Is that being used to help fund energy support, dollars? And if so, does the current administration's lack of support, I guess, is that secure? Is that an area of jeopardy?
So let me put it this way. So there's not a whole lot of funding tied to our desire to have this high energy efficiency. It's more or less state policy. So the Executive Office of Housing, EOHLC, that gives us the credits of the soft debt, they've said quite clearly that this is Massachusetts. Each state can put their own priorities as to how they award the tax credits, right? And they have a document that lays it all out. And in Massachusetts, they placed a tremendous emphasis on, elimination of fossil fuels and use of, lots of building insulation, good windows, meeting these energy standards. There are some mostly through the Mass Saves program, among other, there's some incentives. So in my little Pelham project of 34 units, we did get our Passive House designation. So what happens is you get certified, your design gets certified by the Passive House Institute of the US. They certify the design, and then you go and build the project. And at the end of the project, if you meet all the tech, you have to hire a HERS rater to examine the buildings and run the airflow and air circulation and so forth. And then if you get that designation at the end, you do get some incentive dollars. I think in the case of my project, like I say, it was only 34 units. It'll end up being about, all told, from a little bit of, we got a little feasibility study at the beginning, like 5,000, and then we'll get about another 70,000 probably next month or so. So it's not, in the scheme of things.
So the change in political climate really doesn't jeopardize the financials where you're at.
And we'll still put solar panels on the roof, even though the credits for owning them are going away at the end of this year. So there's less incentive, but you kind of almost have to do them to get the Passive House designation.
Right now, you're still trying to get financial support for all of this in order to break ground.
That is correct.
Honest best guess between when you're going to break ground and when you're going to cut the ribbon.
Well,
and I know it's a guess.
No, that part's easy. The hard part is guessing when we're going to break ground. That's the hard part. Once you break ground, we've got a great team of architects and contractors, and so once you're in and you start construction, everybody everybody is very financially motivated to get out at the end of the deal. This project is probably 14 to 16 month construction period.
Starting from when?
So, well, that's the tough question. I mean, as I said, there's tremendous demand. What we've got going for us is that this is a mass development, sort of master planned community. So the state is, highly motivated to push us down the road here. But there's a lot of really good projects in front of us too. So best case scenario, we get an award in spring, early summer of 2026, and break ground roughly 6 months after that. So we're talking 2027. In our application, we'll lay out a proposed schedule as to what we think some of those milestones are.
So 2029 maybe before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why unlike a lot of projects that come before for CPA funding, and I've done this in other communities where, if you're restoring a monument, you want the money now and you're going to spend it in 6 months. Or if you're doing, open space preservation, you need the money now. In our case, we're coming to you now, but we're saying we don't need the money for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that you're not looking to fund it.
In the city of East Hampton, they were very generous for a project I'm working on there, and they allowed $100,000 for pre-development and $400,000 for when we're done completion. First time I've had that, and it's good to have, but it's not essential.
Okay. Last question is selling this. So, CPC system. All we do is make a recommendation, yay or nay.
Sure.
If we make a recommendation in favor of it, it goes before the individual citizens in Belchertown to decide whether or not they're going to award the money. When Brissa came before the planning board, there was a very strong and very vocal group. How at the annual town meeting, how are you going to sell to the citizens? I want you to give me $500,000.
That's
Because it won't be our job to sell it, it'll be your job.
I totally, and I've done that before. Actually in Pelham, although it was a pretty friendly audience for the most part, but there was some resistance. And number one, we need some more champions in town for sure. And I know Mr. Graham's working on that. We need folks who live here and work here and are part of town government to help us advance the cause in town, because if it's just us, there's only so much we can do. I mean, I think in the last 8 or 10 years, for instance, I've seen in a lot of other communities that I've worked in, Ludlow, East Hampton, Agawam, seen similar suburban type communities where there has been a change in attitude towards affordable housing. I think people understand it better today than they did 5 or 6 years ago. Not to say that people still won't object, but I think that the whole national conversation about the need for affordable housing and where housing prices are going and the difficulty seniors and young families are having in finding affordable rental housing is part of the conversation. So there's plenty of information out there that we can call on to help us work with folks and hold additional meetings in advance of town meeting if that's something that's necessary. In Pelham, we had the pleasure of the town had a housing committee that was, again, there's a town of 1,300 people that we're now the largest, with 34 units, we're the largest multifamily property owner in the town. And I suspect we might be, and that's not City Capital, that's another organization I'm doing it for. I suspect that 105 units might be the biggest multifamily rental property in Belchertown. I don't know. Maybe not. But in any case, I think working with the planning board and others in town who know who's who and know what some other steps might be, and whether it's the planning board holding a meeting for us to have, or the select board holding a meeting for us to talk about this sort of before it gets to town meeting. I think that would be a step that would be worthwhile. I know in Pelham, I think the housing committee did a mailing to town residents. So there's a number of things, and the way I look at it, I mean, yes, I'm a developer of affordable housing, so maybe my vision is a little bit skewed. But what I've always seen in every case is that with good design and good construction and good management, a property like this becomes an asset to the town. It's something that's of value and that should be, it will pay taxes. It's a for-profit entity. You have to be a for-profit entity to take advantage of tax credits. So the ownership is ultimately in the hands of a for-profit. So I think the benefits outweigh the risks. And, I think people have perceptions of what they think of as affordable housing. And it's real easy to show you that, those perceptions are usually outdated or just wrong-headed to begin with. So I guess the last thing I'll say about it is I like to cherry pick my examples, but I think it's relevant because this is a former state-owned facility. All you got to do is go over to Northampton to see the former Northampton State Hospital facility. The first thing that was built there after they took down the old main was an industrial plant. It was an industrial building that was built. The second thing that was built there was 2 phases of affordable rental housing. The thing that was built after that were $500,000 single-family homes right next to the affordable housing. Now, it was a pretty choice location in the town, but it's still, and like I said, I think I'm cherry picking my examples a little bit because it's a good story, but I think that's a case where that affordable housing helped, the resurrection of that former state hospital campus.
Last question is, 5 years from now, who's going to be maintaining
Sure.
the facility?
That's a great question. So one of the things that happens with the development budget and the operating budget for these properties is that there's both an operating reserve and a replacement reserve. So the operating reserve is paid for, at the time, all the equity comes in at the completion of construction. And usually a little bit of money goes into the replacement reserve. And then what the lenders and the tax credit syndicators require is that every it's either monthly, quarterly, there's a certain amount per unit. I think the standard used to be $350 per unit per year that is put into a replacement reserve, so that you size up a pretty good replacement reserve so that, when you got to replace the roof, when you have to replace the heating systems, when you need to do capital expenses, not just a move out and a repainting of an apartment, but for those kinds of things, that's what it's there for. And so you build quality, you try to get it through the first 15 to 20 years, because the tax credit compliance period is a 15-year compliance period. And usually what happens on these is that at the end of 15 years, they're what's called recapitalized or resyndicated. And that's when you get another chunk of money to do, if you need to do new siding or, other types of things. But you've got a replacement reserve, and that will all be laid out in a budget.
But will Sydney Capital be the person
Yes.
responsible for the maintenance 5 years after it's?
Yeah, so Sydney Capital will be in the ownership structure of the owner entity, and the property manager will be Appleton Corporation, based out of Holyoke. They're one of the O'Connell companies. They've been around for many, many years and manage a lot of property in Western Mass and Central Western Mass and Northern Connecticut. And so they're responsible for collecting the rent, cleaning the sidewalks, making sure the trash is removed, and managing, the routine maintenance of the facility as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Wilbert.
I just want to make sure I understand about the building, because you got a couple of different things going in there.
Yes.
Is that mainly for the residents, only for the residents, or all the different parts?
All the different parts.
Right, all the different parts. Is there some for regular townspeople?
So, it's always good relations for the developer to say, hey, you need meeting space, council on aging, or doesn't have space, come meet here. You need this, you need that. So, those things, I can't make those promises for Mr. Graham right now, but, in other properties that I've done, we've we've done that and it's worked well. I mean, if you've got a meeting space, you like to make it available, to the extent you can. You know, I still think we've got a little bit of work to do to nail down what all the other uses are, but the goal is to have some meeting space that can be used for training and seminars for the residents. But that if that same space is available and can be used by the general public for other types of uses, I always see that as part of the asset that it provides to the community. The other thing, something I failed to mention earlier, the property will also have EV charging stations. Doubtful any of our residents will have electric vehicles, but we're required to put them in anyways, and so those are available to the public as well. I mean, it's a pay-per-use kind of thing, but again, it's just sort of a public benefit that comes with the property.
Very, the project is very, very interesting, and I think housing is our number one issue in Massachusetts, right? Not so much here in Western Massachusetts, but for the whole state, right? It's incredible. I know my daughter's building right now, and I just can't believe the cost to build. It's ridiculous. So I'm done with my questions. I just gotta ask you this. So you're from Ludlow.
I'm from Springfield originally. I live in Ludlow now.
Okay. So Belchertown is a very big soccer community. So is it Ludlow.
Yeah, that's great.
So if we would have known you were from Ludlow, we wouldn't have let you in. I say that very kidding.
That's good. That is true. Belchertown is a very good soccer. And if I can for a minute, I want to go back to also the local preference. So one thing to know is that when we start to market the property, we will not mention a local preference.
Mhm.
The state really looks badly at that because they're concerned for fair housing.
Yep.
We want to give everybody an even playing field, even though the rules will be that there are a local preference and the way the state interprets local is that it's somebody who lives, works, or has children in school in the community. So those three categories all meet the condition for local preference. But when we put a marketing flyer out or an ad in the local papers or whatever, it won't say preference for local residents.
Sure.
That's been determined to kind of deter people from doing this. And
Yep.
so just also on the same point, the state a year or two ago started this Housing Navigator website, which actually, if you're interested in affordable housing, it's pretty fascinating because every state-funded affordable housing property in the Commonwealth now has to advertise on this one website. So every time there's a housing lottery, so we'll have to do a housing lottery for this property as well. So the housing lotteries get posted there when it's first come, first serve. After you exhaust the applications that come in from the lottery, you then go on a first come, first serve basis. You sort of re-put that out on Housing Navigator. But what it results in is that you get people from all over the state applying. We had people from east of Worcester and North Shore applying for apartments in Pelham. And then when they found out, then we called them up and we said, okay, well, we want you to fill out a more full application now. They're like, well, where is Pelham? I don't live there, But they just start throwing in these applications. So, which is both good and bad. It's convenient for somebody looking. What it tells me is that for somebody looking for housing, it's a good tool for them. It helps us get more applications, but it does mean we got to go to weed through more. But yeah, so anybody who, if there's a housing preference, they sort of pick the first preference for those available at initial lease-up. It doesn't last for the life of the property.
Sure, absolutely. Just one other question, just clarification for me is, so the admin building that you're refurbishing, rehabilitating, is that is tied to this project? So the two are conjoined where they,
It is.
okay.
I think sometimes to our chagrin, but yeah, it's the designation from BDIC is for both parts of the site. They're two non-contiguous sites.
Right.
But it's one project. That's
Okay. Perfect.
Hey, can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
So it sounds like you don't think there'll be any issue filling those 105 units.
What I learned in Pelham was that, Pelham was for only 34 units, and it's only 2.5 miles from the center of Amherst, this site. It's just over the Amherst-Pelham line. And it took a bit of effort to get those apartments leased up. I mean, as much as people need housing, I think had it been another location, it would have leased up a lot faster. I think with 105 units, it'll take, so Pelham, we did it in, well, one building came online in February and most of it filled up. So usually you assume it's a 3 to 4 month lease up period. For this many units, it would take probably 4 to 6 months. So, and again, with the low income housing tax credits, one of the things to know is that the head of household, there are certain restrictions on students. So it's not a student housing program by any stretch of the imagination. There's very specific prohibitions against students in there. But that, if there's a 16-year-old high school student, that's fine. If there's children of the head of household who are enrolled in college, that's fine. But it's not intended for 2 adults who are full-time college students. That's kind of a no-no. So, but it makes leasing up harder, but it also means that those affordable housing resources are going to families and individuals who are,
Truly in need.
in need and of this community, presumably.
Yep.
I don't imagine too many people, from far away, unless they're originally from this area, wanting to come and live at that property, so.
One more question. The size of these units, okay? Would the size of these units be conducive to families with children?
So, we're required by the state to have a mix of, I think now we've got some studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. We can't just do all 1-bedroom apartments. The state will say you're being discriminatory towards families on that. So usually it's, let's see if I can, but usually it's 10% of the total units are 3 bedrooms or more, but we don't have anything more than 3 bedrooms. 25% of all the units will be 2 or 3 bedrooms. So you'll still have mostly studios and 1s, but yes, there will be some apartments with children.
Thank you.
So if families have qualified for Section 8 housing, would they be able to apply for these apartments? And this would fit the bill for them?
Yes.
Anybody else have any questions?
Well,
So
thank you so much.
No, absolutely. This is great information for us. So when the application comes in, we've got a ton of that, already in front of us. And, once again, put as much information within the application as possible. I mean, that, truly helps us. What we do with our application process is once we get the applications in, one of the members of the committee will be assigned your application and they'll be reaching out to you as the contact person for questions and answers, and possibly maybe have you come in, one more time for a visit, as we move the process forward. And we'll go from there.
Do you want hard copies, electronic copies?
It'll be both. I mean, because, we all work on a hard copy, you're required to submit, I want to say 12 hard copies,
Okay.
and then the electronic copy also. So this way, I'm not printing out 12 applications, for all the applications that show up for all the members to work on. So
And so on architectural plans, if we did 11 by 17 format, is that,
Yep,
or do you
absolutely.
need?
No, I don't need
And you
full.
don't necessarily want to see electrical drawings and fire protection drawings, you
No.
want to see more of the architectural drawing
Correct.
and the site drawings, okay?
Yep. And then our applications are due on the first Friday of November.
And that's the first date they can be, or that's the deadline?
That's the deadline when they're due. So,
Oh, okay.
we'll usually beginning of October 1st through the first Friday in November. So it's about a 5-week
Oh, okay.
period that we're open.
But if you're looking, you don't need the money right away. I mean,
But we still want to.
do we
still
want to
the
get it in
application
and hold on to it? I mean,
Absolutely. Because we would want to vote on it and and bring it to town meeting. Absolutely, because
well, we
that
would
also
want
secures-
updates every year.
But no, because that secures them with the funding. So when they go to the state for their state tax credits and applications, they've got,
Okay.
voted
But
support.
the expectation is that there's still an update every year provided, correct?
We'll give you quarterly
Yes.
updates.
I mean, no,
Right.
that's not necessary.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
but I'm
we'll
just
see,
saying,
we look at an
like,
update
look where you at.
as where the project is.
Right.
And of course, we typically don't front load funding. We wait for, so yes, we would be looking to pay at the very end of the project, And so that, of course, would also give us time, because we don't have, in our bank account, we don't have $500,000 yet, so.
And that's not a guarantee.
I was gonna say, with your application, I would suggest, go light on the technical details. We don't need electrical schematics, we don't need the insulation cross-sectional.
Okay.
All right, we don't need that. What we do need is, how many of the 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom studios? What does this bring to the community? What is the timing that this does? Why is this advantageous for us? That's what you need to sell us, because you're gonna need to sell the town.
We need to sell us to get our recommendation for town meetings.
Right. But we don't need to be critiquing whether or not you have the correct number of parking spots in the correct location.
We got a lot of people doing that already, so thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so go light on the technical.
All right, very good.
And heavier on the what's the
What's the next?
what's the benefit for the town and that kind of stuff. But
Thank you for taking the time, letting me
Nope.
go on at length here, and it's been very helpful.
Thank you, Peter, we appreciate it.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Be right back.
Okey-dokey.
Thank you.
Just a couple of quick questions from members. Pat, you've been sworn in, correct?
I have, absolutely.
Wilbur
I've been sworn in.
and Megan.
All set?
Okay, I just have to ask Donald, just because I know he was appointed through, he was not appointed via the select board, but through the rec committee, so.
I just want to say that I thought that guy did a great job, a really nice presentation.
Absolutely.
oh yeah.
I mean, because it's such a big project that, this helps tremendously to have them to come in first.
Well, so this, for us, this would go all under Boyd, if we could put it all under housing, I think that would be good. Would it split housing for the 105 units and then the building would be historical?
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending if
But I
it's the
think there-
criteria.
Right.
I mean,
right.
so, but I mean, truthfully, housing goes every year. I mean, not housing, but historical, we can
Right, we
generally
have
find projects
much more
for.
funding uses for
We can't generally
historical.
find projects for housing.
Right, I would
It's
rather
nice
use all
to
of our housing money
say,
and
you
then
know,
some,
right.
and then preserve our historical for,
Historical would be in the admin building.
correct, and that would be a small percentage of the,
Not
Yeah,
that small.
you'd almost, would you want to look to split of the 60 million? What percent is admin, what percent is the main campus stuff? I
I don't think that's
don't want to
their,
get into the weeds.
right, I don't either.
I would still think that a $500,000 ask is just not a huge part of the whole housing, let
Right.
alone you know what I mean? I think so. How they,
But to Jim's point, just like with Christopher Heights, when we awarded them the 125,
it's 250.
the 250.
Yeah.
Okay. But because you're awarding that up front, you're showing all of the other contributors a local commitment and backing and support for the success of the operation.
Right.
And so that's what the 500
Oh,
brings to
right,
the table is the political leverage.
Well, right. I would just like to see them also ask the Board of Selectmen. I mean, I don't think it's
Well, right,
outrageous to say, hey, the town wants this, can you kick in a few dollars? I mean, like.
yeah, well, I mean, that's why putting the bug in his ear, right, it may possibly, he may, they may do that.
I mean, right?
I like your thinking on the family center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because they're probably gonna be looking to lease out some of that, that
Do they
building,
have a
so.
director? Because the town got rid of the director a long time ago.
Let's stay on our,
I mean, I'm just saying,
we're
so.
staying on our agenda here.
Okay, look,
Um,
one more thing. This town is already invested in this because the Historic Commission has been sending out letters for supporting this and supporting that. For a lot of the grants they're looking for,
mhm.
We've been backing them up.
Well, good,
So we're already into this.
excellent.
financially.
No,
Well, no, not financial,
Well, yeah,
but letters of
it's
support
like-
for financial grants.
they needed, it was a requirement to have a letter of support from the Belchertown Historic Commission
Mhm.
sent forth to the Massachusetts Historic Commission. Without our support, it would have never gotten to the Massachusetts Historic Commission, which would not have gotten to the national parks thing. And but we've been supporting them all along.
Have you been sworn in?
I don't think so.
So your rec committee recommended you
I
be,
have been sworn in.
okay,
Yes, a while back.
okay,
Yes, sorry about that.
thank you.
As you started talking, I was like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Okay.
Just want to let you know, if you haven't seen it, Wilbur got on top of it this year with our ad in the Sentinel
Yeah, I
for publications and the deadlines for, yeah, right. So, thank you very much for that and actually getting it done right away. I appreciate that. So, that's been
Are
addressed.
we gonna follow up with that again?
Wilbur's gonna try for probably at least one more time within the Sentinel, if not,
That's for at least a couple. Had two in.
right.
Push two. It would be nice to have one right close to that deadline.
Right, if they can do it the week before that deadline, that would be great. Again, that is the third one in. And also, you're gonna talk about, Kate Nadu for Belchertown Communications Manager? We knew, with the Belchertown Chronicle or the Sentinel, the Belchertown Chronicle, are we trying to get our ad posted on that also?
We are, and I have a message in for her to call me
Yep.
tomorrow, just to see, because I don't even know where to find that, to be honest with you.
I don't think I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
The town newsletter, newspaper or something.
It's on the website and it's sent out electronically if you sign up for it as an email. So it's an electronic, not a hard copy, that, to my knowledge. I get it in my email.
I do too, because I signed up for it, requested it, so if you go to the town's website, you can probably access it there, and from there, you can ask to be put on a
Distribution.
distribution and via your email, and you'll get it on a weekly or monthly as it comes out.
I was thinking to talk to her about maybe down the road, is there other things with the CPA stuff that we do that could go inside of that? I don't understand what that is because I haven't seen it yet. So, and I don't know if we could do that or not do that. I have no idea. So
Okay.
I just, that's what this little note is for me to talk to her about those things.
So that's Wilbur's homework, okay? All right, you're up next in terms of your CP3. What do we got there?
Well, it's done, it's in, it's done, it's in. So what I've given you here is just the money that we've done, as far as the 4 different categories, how much. Basically, we're about almost 6.4, about 6.3. The one piece I don't have, and I wish I had, that 6 million means 12 million, you know what I mean? Like the open
Right.
space, we put 200,000, but it's for.
But it's-
that's
sure.
That would take a long time to do that. And the count is just the number of projects. So we've had 8 basically housing projects. Stuff like that. So our assessment will know in November what it is. Last year was 18%. So that's kind of what that is. That's just fun numbers for fun.
Sure.
And this is cumulative over what
From day
time
one.
period?
From day one.
And when is day one?
2005, I believe we started CPC.
Yeah,
We didn't jump on board CPC the first year that it came out. We were shortly thereafter. So I want to say 2005 because I've been, I'd say 20 years for me on this now.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So
That's scary.
yeah, I'm like I'm the original member left. So, but yeah, actually, if we not for this, but maybe when you got nothing better to do, if you could, get that number in terms of what did our 6 million turn into, that would be huge. I'm betting that you're probably close to, 25 million.
Oh, really?
I think so, sure. With especially with a lot of the The recreational and the open space projects, I bet you, maybe not 25, but you're more than double of what we,
Kestrel's thrown in so much.
right, so.
It's fantastic. Most projects, obviously.
We fund wholly,
$100,000, it's
right,
$100,000, right?
right.
It's not nothing else.
but there's, but we still have, good number of contributions, so. So updates from any of our projects?
Oh, yeah, I've got a good one.
Well, okay, go ahead.
I promised my wife Holly I would be nice,
Okay.
okay?
Well, that's concerning.
It's not easy, okay? They haven't done squat.
Who?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Was
The
that
high
the
school?
Belchertown High School
The
Yeah,
school department?
field project restoration?
they haven't done squat. First of all, I've called Eric LeBeau several times. He never returned my calls. Thank you very much, Eric. I've gone up to that ball field a few times. It's all padlocked. It doesn't seem like anybody's using it. There's no white lines there or anything, okay? Granddaughter was playing in the upper field. All right, she was playing field hockey in the upper field, and that field is a disaster. The girls call it the Sahara Desert. The chalk lines to show where the team is offsides are almost non-existent. The refs are trying to call, well, they're offside. What do you mean they're offside? There's no chalk line, So if they couldn't come about to redo the ball field, fine. But why couldn't they drop a well to irrigate both fields? And according to Mr. LeBeau, both fields are hooked up. So if you had the well, they could be irrigating the upper field where the girls play field hockey and whatever, and they could be irrigating the football field. But they haven't bothered to drop the well, and we're in a drought. Now, Friday night under the lights, television, they're showing all these different football teams. Ludlow has a football team that's like a college football team. They're beautiful, nice white crisp lines, and the camera pans. There's a couple hundred people sitting in the bleachers. And our field is padlocked. I don't know. I've heard that maybe the marching band uses that field to practice on, but I have not been able to substantiate that.
They don't play during games or march
There are no home games.
in the,
We don't have any home games in Belchertown.
That's not true.
Because the fields are,
But
We have a home game Friday night, and soccer played there the other day. So, I'm on that field every single day. It's not padlocked. Parts of it are. As far as I know, is the sprinkler system is broken, and
oh, for crying out.
the well hasn't been dropped. You're correct. I don't know what's going
My
on.
thought was, if we're in the middle of a drought, those low people, they may be scheduled out so far that they haven't, because they haven't had
They've
time.
had to.
but there again, we have, Alex has reached out.
we don't
Alex
have
has
the
reached out, and we haven't gotten a response back, which is
That's
the key that, that hurts the most, that, you need to respond back to, and if I need to reach out to the town accountant and put a freeze for any of their funding to be distributed until we, I don't want to see an invoice come through and then get paid without us getting some kind of notification update of what's going on with that project.
I talked to someone. I won't mention the name. Just I don't get the person in trouble. But this person requested pressure. If somebody else could put pressure on Eric to get the ball rolling. So
It concerns me deeply that these
I know.
fields have been
That's what I
neglected.
said.
They came to us and nobody knew why. Nobody had an idea. They didn't know why this all happened. They are responsible for that field and the upper fields in the entire town of Belchertown that's attached to any other school that's run by the rec department. That, all those other fields are. This was a priority. They sat here and said that, and now won't return calls. Mr. LeBeau, if you're listening, please, you know what? Get your job done. Do your job. How about that?
By the way, last school board meeting, I just sat in the corner and listened. The school board has deemed it necessary to hire 3 upper echelon administrators.
It's outside of the outside of the
Yeah.
realm of the CPC. So.
Yeah.
Well,
It's outside of right.
It's not
I
on the
don't, right.
agenda.
It's not. It's right. So.
That's
Okay.
unfortunate.
not
So,
being nice.
Any other updates for projects? Does anybody have anything from theirs?
Oh,
Well, I can just talk about the barn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the first contractor backed out, so I had to start all over again. Luckily, I found colonial restoration. They're more expensive, but they know what they're doing. And as expected, as they start getting in there, they're gonna find more stuff. So we're still fundraising. I've taken my name off of anything to do with applying or sending payment in.
Yep.
So they came in the end of last week and they supported the roof with, God, there must be 10 jacks up there. Put plywood down on the floor. They've got the biggest boards I've ever seen in my life up there. And so they know what they're doing. This is phase 1. They're so busy that they probably won't get back until spring. However, the roof won't sag more in that time period. And if they have a break in their work, they will come back because they can do their work from the inside. And then we'll be meeting with DCAM Monday morning because they want to meet Top Notch Abatement and Roberts Roofs. And I learned today that Top Notch Abatement already works with DCAM, the state. So we should be all good there. And, so we're moving forward. We're still fundraising.
How much, what's the difference in price?
It's like $20,000. Oh, we're gonna do it.
Yeah?
We're gonna figure it out.
Right.
Mine is the Tri-Lakes, and I think you got an email from John Soja from.
We did when they did their grant application or their grant agreement. They basically let us know that they're not going to start any weed control until this fall. So there's really no update that they can provide. But they will let us, they will keep in touch once they start the weed control, this fall going into next year and then right on down the line.
Okay. I thought, for whatever reason, I thought they were gonna do what they could for the weed control with their own funding and then with the
It wasn't,
right.
no, they
And then in the
needed
spring.
to do the,
Oh, right, they
hit it
wanted-
hard with,
right, okay.
right on the very first one, which was,
Okay.
the.
Oh, no
the
worries.
biggest
I
part
was
for
just
us.
like,
So, yeah, so that's where that one's at.
So that's good. I mean,
And
so
I guess,
they're doing something.
I know Town Beach wasn't gonna start until after, the fall season also, so they probably haven't really got an update for us yet, so we'll see that at some point, moving forward, later this fall.
I ran into Vic because I see him and his wife at church every week, and he's putting together his grant right now.
Yep. And I guess maybe I'll have David reach out to our town clerk just to find out where they're at with their record preservation. So if you want to just give a phone call and you can have or ask her to send an email to me and I'll send that back to everybody for where they're at for the town records preservation. So
On the firefighters museum, the contract is scheduled for October.
okay, right. So we're I mean that's the thing. By the time you get your grant application done or get approved at town meeting, and then July 1 before funding becomes available. I mean, not a whole lot happens in that that from then till right now our first meeting in September. So, but things are moving forward. I did get a letter of thanks from Cindy Harbison, from the library director, thanking us so much for funding our stained glass window restoration project. The work was completed last month, and Muse of Poetry looks fantastic. The support of this project and our other CPC projects has been instrumental in preserving and maintaining our beautiful Clapp Memorial Library building. On behalf of the trustees, staff, and all who enjoy the building, thank you sincerely.
Yeah, steps are gorgeous.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah,
The entranceway there. And all
the
that.
new entry, the old entry that they've redone.
Yep.
With the doors, handrails, and bigger step. It's so much safer.
Yeah, that was nice getting that. And plus, I know I've sent you guys along, the letters for funding from the Clapp Memorial Library, for the stained glass. So we'll get those into record here for what that cost us. So it'll be within our minutes.
I think Cindy's done an outstanding job of keeping us informed.
She has.
What's going
Yep.
on, thanking us,
Yes.
Yep.
For sure. I gotta tell you, she's absolutely loved in this town. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure maybe she has some enemies or something, but boy, a lot of conversation I've had, they just absolutely love her. She's done a great job.
Yeah.
We really have.
Do we need to? For update discussion on our annual calendar, do we need to
Well, the
address that?
annual calendar includes the reorganization of the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I put it on there.
Gotcha.
So we could probably do that right now.
At our next meeting, as soon as the meeting is done, I'm leaving town for a while.
Yep.
I've been doing the minutes for 6 years now, and I'm done.
Your minutes
Stop
now?
doing the minutes.
Okay.
So when we reorganize, I do not want my name
Gotcha.
in the minutes. I'll do tonight's minutes, but even the next meeting, as soon as it's done, I'm out of here. So somebody else is going to need at the next meeting.
Yep.
Even temporarily to take it and show us what a great job they do.
Okay. Well,
That's the
now
new-
do
that's the
you
new
have
minutes.
a format here, or is this just something that, I guess, would you be able to pass along that format to the?
It's just a template, yeah,
Okay.
just a template.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. All right. Well, then that being said, let's look to reorganize our board. Currently, I am I'm the chair. Wilbur is the vice chair. Mike is the clerk. So those are the three open positions that we have to fill. And of course, Mike being the clerk also takes the minutes for the meeting. So anybody would love to have the chair, I'd be more than happy to step aside.
Yeah.
Any takers?
I'm new. I'm just gonna absorb it.
You're not that new, Pat.
No takers?
No, it probably makes sense just to take it up at the next meeting, right?
No, this way we get it done
Let's go
tonight.
ahead and
And,
get it done.
right, we got everybody here, so. I mean, if no one wants it, I don't mind being the chair. I don't mind running this meeting, so. If
That'll
someone,
make 21 years.
yes, well, this will be 20 years this year. Yeah, going into next year will make 21, so. Not as the chair the whole time, but for being a member on this committee. So, if you want,
So I'll make a motion that Janelle will be maintain chairmanship for another year.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes 8-0-0. Vice chair. I know Wilbur's doing it now. Do you want to continue on it, or would you like to? Okay.
It's not that tough.
So you do know that
I
next
make a
year,
motion.
the vice chair moves up to chair.
I should give you the seat.
That's right, to get you that much closer.
I make a motion that Wilbur is our vice chair.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 8-0-0. Now our clerk and minute taker. So someone's got to step up for that one. The clerk doesn't necessarily need to be the minute taker, but either way, someone's got to step up.
I'm too new at this end of the table. I can't, and plus I chair another committee.
All right, I lack qualification.
Hmm?
I lack qualification.
You do. Well, I mean, I'm sure
It's in English.
it's a
You
right.
speak it.
Right.
I don't even know where Earl is.
If you made it past sixth grade, you're qualified.
I got a fourth grade education.
And a fifth, and a sixth, and a seventh, and an eighth. Go ahead, fill it out.
No, thank you. No, I can't.
Jim?
Donald?
Oh, go ahead.
And I hate saying now, but I'm maxed out at my volunteerism, so I'm doing as much as I can, is what I'm trying to say, so.
Megan?
I have done the minutes when Mike's not here.
I know you have.
Go ahead, make a motion. that
All right,
Megan-
fine. But I'm only doing it for a little while and then I'm gonna hate it off.
So when you came in, I said, I just want to see you for a couple of minutes after the meeting. She said, yes. What I was going to say to her is, why don't I do one, and you do the next one, and I do one, and you do the next one. Are you
Wilbur,
okay with that?
yes and no.
Okay.
And yes, because I think it's very generous of you.
Wilbur's retired.
No,
Wilbur's not retired.
no,
Sort of
because
retired.
Wilbur, you take on everything. And I so appreciate that, but
Oh, no,
No.
I do the minutes for the Knights of Columbus.
I understand.
It's not-
See, so you're in the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
You do the BOA. You do the pickleball, you do this. And you wanted to do housing. You
Well,
wanted
I
to,
still think we need someone on housing.
I know we
listen,
do.
I say right now that we acknowledge 6 years, never
yeah,
seen minutes done like he does.
Right.
So
Here, here.
that's a good thing. So I,
yeah.
So it's easy, just do it.
Outstanding job.
I'll do them, but
Okay.
begrudgingly.
Make a motion that
And I won't be
Megan be
doing them for 6
secretary.
years.
Second.
So you
And
need a
then
motion
somebody
for,
else has to
for
step up
Megan be
next
the
year.
right to be our clerk and minute taker. So that was the motion.
Who made the motion?
Alex did, and David seconded it. Any further discussion?
yes.
This discussion is Megan does not want to do it for 6 years.
No, I do
Someone needs
not.
to step up.
Well, I
Come
guess
next
we
year.
could leave it now. If she's not here, I will take it.
Okay.
How about if we leave it like that?
Okay,
Are you okay with that?
sure.
Deputy assistant.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 800. Okay, our board has been reorganized.
So is
So-
she the clerk too?
She's the clerk,
Alright.
and right.
So, do you want, I don't know, well, we can figure it out about posting the meetings, the agendas.
Well, I mean, Wilbur's has that down, so he's gonna take care of
Linda's
this.
been posting the
Right,
agenda.
so he's gonna do all the agenda, so you just have to deal with minutes.
No, I understand, I mean,
Okay.
I'm just saying, as if he needed help,
Right.
because
Can I make
the
a
guy does a lot.
fast thing on the agenda? So there's a brand new template that's come through the town clerk's office.
Okay, there it
Everybody
is.
who does the agendas has to go through the template. It's
To this,
very close to what
Yeah.
we're doing, so it's
Right.
not that big.
Right, they sent the agenda out, or it out, and we just input, so, it needed to have certain things on there in terms of the Zoom meetings and all that kind of stuff, that's all. So, bills, we do have some bills, so, Michael, thank you very much, for spearheading, and I finally got my, together and reached out to Larry Daniels from Holy Cow. We were having an issue with our website. We've got that addressed. We put in the time. He spent 45 minutes on it, and we've got an invoice for $91.20 for that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So the Community Preservation Committee has their own website separate from the town website?
Correct. So we have a link within, you go to the town's website and it will send you to a link which will send you to our website along with our application.
And is that because you're the community preservation or because?
Because when we first started, the towns didn't really have a website
didn't
that
offer it.
supported the community preservation and our application process.
They didn't offer it and they weren't going to set one up, like
Right.
they wouldn't, you know,
So we went
design
on
it.
and serviced our own through GoDaddy, and they've had that ever since. And Larry is our online marketing gentleman that helps us with the website and with the content. And before we generalized it in terms of dates and stuff, he would always input the proper dates for applications and everything else. So now he just maintains it and checks for virus protection and all that kind of stuff.
Right, no sense in changing it at all. And the
I mean, we will eventually go to the town, but
We're on the list to eventually get onto the town, but because we have a system that's up and running and working, we're kind of a lower priority for incorporation and transition. But we are on the list that we will be eventually absorbed into the town
Right.
system. But since we're up and running and working, they have more important ones to work on.
I know the garden committee, we were told, they didn't give us a town email. So we just use all our own personal
Well,
email.
we don't have we don't have a town
Yes, you do.
email per se, do we?
Well,
huh? No, it's my email, and then it's and then it's a link to our website
Right.
that we've created.
Yeah,
So
so we don't have a Belchertown.org email address.
but you do, Jim.
I don't have
I thought I saw one on the
it's
town.
it's in there. It's my personal email, so I get all the information via my email, and I save that on a disk in zip drive. So it's actually here at town hall, but I don't have a Belchertown.org.
Well, what the Historic Commission does is you go to belchertown.org,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you go to the Historical Commission, and you click on that, and
Mhm.
then we've got our website, and you click on the website, and it says you're leaving,
Right, ours does the same thing.
and then you click on that, yes, and our website comes up, and we've got like tons and tons of information on that.
Right, but correspondence go to, you don't have a Belchertown Historic Commission.org website.
No,
Correct, and neither
I don't
do
think
we.
we're supposed to.
Right, we have, for people to correspond, they correspond to my, email address. That's where all the applications come and everything else electronically. And then I take that and I put all that stuff on a zip drive. So it's electronically saved here at Town Hall in the file cabinet downstairs, the CPC file
But
cabinet.
shouldn't they be going to belchertown.org?
I don't know. Maybe when the town absorbs the Belchertown website, they'll also create an email address that, there again, I mean, I already have 3 different email addresses now that I have to look at on a daily basis. I don't need to look at one more, which would be Belchertown, CPC, belchertown.org for all my other information. So, but if the town wants to push that along, then we can do that.
Okay.
Okay?
So on the planning board, I'm just curious, the planning board,
Has
Are you-
their own through the planning department.
right, but you don't have a Hoffler at belchertown.org, like the selectman Jay Ritter at belchertown.org. You don't have that as a member of the planning board.
Yes, I do.
You do. Because you guys are special. Okay,
All right, another bill.
sorry.
This was, so let's see here. This is actually for our website, our hosting. Web hosting was $74.63 that I paid. This is for our,
Hey, Daddy?
yes. And if you could sign that.
Wasn't it like 20 some odd dollars when we first signed up, or maybe it was like
Yeah,
30?
well,
It was, I mean, I'm just saying.
It's
no,
gonna
no,
be,
no,
it's,
yeah,
it's gonna be $400 every 2 years coming up.
Oh, okay.
So it's like $200 a year. That's for the security part. That's not for the web address also. So you gotta pay for the web address and for the security aspects of it also. A bill that I had signed earlier this year, and submitted for payment was, for the Clapp Memorial Library, for your records for our minutes, which was for $25,500.
And which project is this?
This is for the stained glass for the Clapp Memorial Library.
Thank you.
And another bill that I had submitted earlier this year, because I'm a single signatory, I can sign the bills and then just submit them to the town clerk, but I want to put it into the record. So it was basically for the Belchertown Community Preservation Coalition. This is our membership dues, $1,750.
And is that to the state level?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's the CPA fee, the annual fee.
Yep, our annual CPC, Community Preservation Coalition dues. Okay. So that was our bills. We have minutes of June 17th, 2025 was our last meeting. Everybody,
There's one thing on the agenda, the conflicts of interest.
oh, that's right. Just remind everybody that, you need to be up to date on your conflict of interest. So just a
We haven't
reminder.
got anything from Terry yet.
Then if you haven't gotten anything, you're not due. It's on a every other year basis. So you probably did yours last year and then you'll get another one next year. Thank you, member. And minutes of June 17th, 2025. Everybody's had a chance to review. Any comments, questions, concerns? Because Pat was not on our committee at that time,
No.
she can't. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of June 17th, 2025 as written. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. And next meeting date. Calendar, what do we got here? Do we need to meet on the 30th, or do we want to just wait and get back in on October 7th?
I just have the one question though for the school committee. They wanted to put pressure on Mr. LeBeau.
Not my job.
Well, okay.
We have a school superintendent that wanted this project. We have a select board that wanted this project. Let them push. It's not my job.
I will,
You can make the phone call, but
No worries, I was
if
just
you don't
wondering
get
if we
any
needed to
results,
meet.
then maybe you reach out to
Yeah.
either the superintendent or our town manager and say, hey, we funded this project. We want an update.
Okay.
We haven't gotten anything, but that's
I will
not
make
for,
a phone call again,
okay.
and I will email Mr. LeBeau.
Send with a red receipt.
Email him and Steve Williams at the same time.
Just
Right,
saying.
to the town manager, and
Send it
also,
with a red
right, include, in your email, include the town manager and the superintendent of school.
And the chair of the select board. Maybe.
Yep,
Say this is the third, or however many attempts.
Next meeting is when?
the next meeting could be either September 30th, if we want a second one for this month, or do we just roll it into the first, Tuesday of November, of October, which would be the 7th. So anybody have a preference? We don't have a whole lot going on right now, so does it really make any sense to meet on the 30th?
I will not be here on the 7th.
Understood.
I think the 7th is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I concur.
Next meeting date will be October 7th at 7 o'clock. If nothing further, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
8:30 PM. Let me end session.